conversation, baby. They call it Mr. Conversation, baby. They call it Mr. Conversation, baby. Consider this hot seat latest information, baby. He the voice of the streets, can't compare, so versatile. Trying to keep up, it's gonna take a while. Talk games on wild style. Just tune in, let him run you down. They call him Mr. Conversation, baby. Come sit in this hot seat latest information.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up?
Can't compare, so versatile. Try to keep up, it's gonna take a while. Talk games on wild style. Just tune in, let him run you down.
All right, y'all. What's up, man? We a minute in. I'm trying to give y'all a little bit of time to pull up in here because I have a surprise for y'all. Y'all know I'm doing these political interviews also now, along with the other content that I have. So this is not technically the hot seat, but we are in the studio of the hot seat. And I have in the building. All right, first of all, let me tell y'all something. Talking with this young lady right here is a blessing. She's very smart. I'm going to say it again. She's intelligent. She is a mover and a shaker. And I've told y'all on all of my platforms, I'm going to do my best to interview these type of people. So I have mayoral candidate, Dr. Jeketra Bryant. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
I need to make sure I give you your applause. We're going to let it run all the way through there. All right, y'all. So listen, I have Dr. Jeketra Bryant, and we're going to be talking about her as a person, right? Because everybody that I interview and my interview style, I don't want to just ask those same boring questions. Okay, we know you want to be the mayor, right? But I want to know about you so you can let everyone know who you are, what is it you do, what's your qualifications, and we're going to have a little bit of the hot seat flavor thrown into the interview, all right?
Yes.
All right. So let's start off with the first one, right? I'm going to ask you, why you? Why? Why are you running?
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think like throughout my entire campaign, I feel like that's been like the magic question, like, why are you running? Why are you running? And why me? And I think like this is like a perfect opportunity because I love like these like one-on-one opportunities. Because one, when the media goes ahead of me, then I don't get a chance to like really like introduce myself. And I prefer to do things like that. One, Columbus is made up of majority women. Like, as a matter of fact, like 51% women. And so I'm a woman. And of those 51% is Black women. And so we've heard of sayings like representation matters. But I think it's like extremely important to know why people say that. And so representation matters because of equity issues. And equity has everything to do with like what we are seeing inside of the city. We're seeing people, families, communities, our kids being left behind. Not they're going to be. We're seeing them being left behind. And so like me as a woman, as a Black woman, as the representation as what Columbus majority has is a voice and a person that says, I can see whom is actually in our community as a majority to ensure that that stops. And those families, those mothers, those kids, those community members are paid attention to. And so those things are fueling me to run. Because I think that like you should have representation like inside of your leadership, again, so that equity is a factor. And so those are part of my whys.
Okay. Next question. Let's talk about your vision, right? What is the biggest problem facing Columbus right now that you maybe have felt that City Hall hasn't addressed recently? And what would you do differently if you was in the position?
Yeah. I think that leadership ignores the actual voices of Columbus. And they do this multiple ways. So they just like run with projects. They build and they build according to their priority and they build according to like almost like the latest trend. And when I'm at doors and I door knock, I literally like make this like I make a light of a situation, but I say it's like they're like squirrel and they're like gone onto a new project, but the project is never related to what the city is actually dealing with. And then they're finished with that project and then they're like on to the next, but it's never related to what's actually going on in the city. It's such an avoidant, like, behavior. And so, like, that's something that City Hall, like, does. And so, like, they neglect the voices of the people, which is extremely odd because it's City Hall. So the city is left out of hall, and those are big issues because, like, the city really has mental health issues. Like, we have the biggest meth issue around. We have the biggest issues in poverty. Like when your city has 56,000 in their median of the average household income, but your highest paying jobs are the people who are sitting within the city official, like workers, like $208,000 positions, like with city attorneys, and the people who are like up top, like sitting there, and the lowest city workers, like at 31,000. Something is wrong. And when you have failing schools and when you have overcrowded jails and you have homelessness and they're still ignoring that and they're like, let's get a baseball field and let's do all these other things. And it's just like they're like literally over here enjoying the filet mignon and the other 90% of the city is literally trying to figure out the meal. Like, that's so imbalanced, and that's not okay. And I think the city really fails at actually paying attention to what's going on and hearing the families.
Okay. So those were general kind of things. Let's get into something a little more specific as far as like economic development. Now, we have a problem with kind of wages in general, just like you were just saying. So, what's in your plan to bring higher paying jobs to Columbus instead of just the low wage service type jobs?
Yeah. So, my platform, initiatives are a little bit different than some of the other mayors that I've read. A lot of the other mayors are really big on, like, infrastructure bills. But we're a consolidated government. So as long as they continue to actually build, it's gonna raise our taxes and it's gonna price everybody out, and no one's gonna ever be able to continue to live here. And so, like, I actually don't want to bring any newer positions here. The people who are already here would like to stay here and need support here. So my proposals are actually giving grants, giving funding, giving like supportive funds to small businesses so that they can actually stay in business. One of my favorite coffee shops, woman-owned business, went out of business because she kept being priced out because of all of this building around her. And I remember the day she was excited to go up as a coffee shop owner and like other businesses, like favorite ice cream shops. And so those people have employees that are working for them. So when one person goes out and they have 10 workers, then think about that, that's multiplying. So if we can actually be smarter by actually like giving the small business people like funds to support them. Just in Atlanta the other day, Mayor Dickens announced that he was actually going to be giving like funds to small business people during a conference, like, to actually help them, like, stay in business. And so, like, that's something that I feel like we don't have to wait on COVID funds. We should not have to wait on, like, the president to, like, release something because it's a storm. Like, we actually, as, like, in our government, our governance should actually be able to say, "We have this for our small business people," and that's jobs in itself and support people cross connection with collaboration by saying that like we're going to partner with you and we're going to write these grants with you and we're going to like um yeah, we're going to write these grants and we're going to partner with you, and that's actually where the jobs are because like they're they're just on like, the wrong page, but the people are here and they're waiting and the talent is here.
Okay. So, to paraphrase, not worry so much about bringing new jobs in, but paying people what they should deserve and that are here, and of allowing grants and grant money to the small businesses who also help the community by giving the jobs also themselves.
Yeah, like,
So
yeah, supporting the ones that are here that would like to stay here. They're not being able to stay here and they're not being able to pay their rent, their lease, they're not being able to pay their people that are actually employers, so they're having to let them go because every time they build like a major hotel or every time they build onto like the baseball field and it's on their own agenda, they're pricing out a coffee shop. That's a small business. They're pricing out a pizza place. They're pricing out the barbecue place has been here for years. And so that's a small business. That small business had 10 employees. And so those are jobs. And so now they're on the hunt and they sound like they're looking for all these jobs, all these jobs. But to be quite honest, the people that made the jobs go away were the people in leadership.
mm. Now, neighborhood. This is one thing that is dear to me. I'm from district. I live in District 3. Most of my life here in Columbus, I've been somewhere in District 3, right? I grew up Clover Lane,
Mhm.
right? And to me, it seems like there are neighborhoods that are neglected more than others. All right. There's an old adage when you first come here, they say anything making road splits Columbus, Georgia, right?
Mhm.
Everything is above is taken care of. Right on Macon Road, they 50-50, and then everything down, that's when it starts to go down. Um, what can we actually do about that?
Yeah. Yeah, there one is like ensuring that the city council seats completely flip. Now all of them aren't up for flipping. But majority of them are. And so paying very close attention to the people that are running and not being persuaded by their propaganda. So a lot of people will come forward. I think like something that I've noticed on my campaign trail is um like sometimes I get the heat of the past people's like propaganda and the broken promises. And I'm like, I didn't do it. I'm a person that stepped up that says, I recognize it and I hear you and I sympathize with you. And people are so mad and trust is broken and they don't go out to vote and they have fallen for what people say, the okey so much that like they have given up, that they surrender their rights and their vote, that they just kind of like, and they put the wrong people in office because they did not vote. And I think that one thing that people first can do is a person running and they can really listen and they can hold them accountable by one, listening to what they're actually saying and check their track record. You remember like spiritually, no matter which like realm of like belief you follow, when people say like, oh, if you know their fruit, like, fruit can look like a lot. It can look like your past record of your relationships. It can look like your children. It can look like friendship, what friends say about you. It can look like your work counterparts, what they say about you. All of that is fruit. And it can look like your spending habits. That's fruit. And I think if we learn to pay close attention to that, and then we can see, like, hey, like, who am I really dealing with? And that's one way. And I think a second way is um, like, really like, I know people always say go to city council meetings, and I'm not gonna ever tell anybody don't go to those, but I also don't believe that they listen to people, and they have meetings behind meetings, between meetings, and around the meetings, and we're not invited to the table. And so I really think pushing it forward and holding them accountable and going all around them to the legislation and the charter needs to be changed, to be quite honest. And so I'm like a big rebel and a rule pusher. So the charter needs to be changed with that one.
Okay, so you meant legislator, right? Legislation. Now, I've heard that you have introduced bills yourself or help write bills. And the reason why I want to talk about this
Yeah.
is I hear from others because, media, we talk and, we have conversations and stuff that some things that are being said in the background. And one of the things that's being said in the background is about your potential inexperience. as a mayoral candidate, right? So let's talk about your experience.
Yeah.
Because you have opened up my eyes to some things earlier on. Talk to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I actually am like beyond like experience. And this is like not even me tooting my horn, but like I'm usually pretty
This
modest.
the hot seat. You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
let's
yeah.
go.
So I'm gonna allow myself to just like say it. Yeah. So Survivor's Justice Bill, which is like HB 582. So HB 582 is the only law, the only self-defense law in Georgia. The only, I say, only, not 5 or 6, the only self-defense law in Georgia that I was one of the main researchers on that team. And so it was water my title down. So
And can you go ahead and say your title real quick?
yeah. So like
It's what?
in all of my degrees.
Mhm.
So
Let's go.
I actually have a bachelor's in biology and psychology. Period. Most people don't even actually know that. And I have a master's in community counseling, and I'm licensed as a professional counselor in Alabama and Georgia. And then I have a PhD, and so
So you need to refer.
doctor.
Okay,
Jeketra
want to make sure.
Bryant. So yeah,
So let's talk to all
doctor.
these media outlets right now.
Yes.
To all the media outlets, if you do not put doctor in front of the name, why aren't you doing it? I want to know why.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Continue.
Yes. Yes, it is a doctor. Yes. And so like, and so I think something that is like super important, you said that, and it was actually only 4 who completed the program that I finished at. And so like, I am actually one of the few women in the United States that actually have a PhD in leadership. And I think that's something that people don't know. So people have PhDs, EDD. And so some people have been like, oh, people have PhDs in like in leadership. No, they have PhDs in EDD, which is educational development, educational leadership. I actually have a PhD in leadership, which means that it's on the level of CEO, COO, CFO.
Okay. So I'm going to put a pause right now. And what I'm going to do is we're going to switch over to another platform because we're having some internet issues, and we got to get this out the correct way. So we're going to take a pause,
Yeah.
and we'll be back, y'all.